There are three words in the phrase claim for loss and or expense to define the phrase. Claim can be defined to mean a request in a construction contract by a contractor what he ought to get under the contract. Secondly, loss can be defined to mean in a construction contract a contractor does not get what he should get under the contract. Lastly, expense can be defined to mean in a construction contract an expenditure that a contractor has spent under the contract. Thus, claim for loss and or expense can be defined to mean a request in a construction contract by a contractor what he ought to get because he does not get what he should get and or an expenditure that he has spent under the contract. Generally, under the provision in most construction contracts, the main contractor can claim for loss and or expense because of events that cause in delay in construction activities as stated under extension of time. However, not all relevant events stated under extension of time can give the main contractor to claim for loss and or expense. Only relevant events that cause the main contractor loss and or expense and not being provided under variation works that the main contractor can claim. If at any time during the regular progress of the works or any part thereof has been materially affected by reason of delays as stated under clause 43.1, suspension of works under clause 50, directions given by the superintending officer consequential upon disputes with neighboring owners, superintending officer instructions, the contractor not having received in due time instructions in regard to the nomination of subcontractors and or suppliers provided in this contract, necessary instructions, drawings or levels for the execution of the works from the superintending officer, delay on the part of artists, tradesmen, or others engaged by the government in executing work not forming part of this contract. According to clause 44.2 in PWD form, the claims should be submitted as soon as possible to the superintending officer. The submission is mandatory and contractor cannot be paid for the loss and expenses without them. It must be not later than 90 days after the issuance of certificate of practical completion. After that period, no more claims will be entertained, which means superintending officer can deal only with the matters affecting that regular progress. Meanwhile, for PEM contract in clause 24.1, the contractor must submit the notice of intention to claim for loss and expenses within 28 days after the issuance of architect instructions. If the occurrence of matter causing the delay, the claim for loss and expenses is later to be submitted within 28 days of the end of causes of delay to the architect. Given below are some of the head of claims. Firstly, site overhead are mostly under preliminaries such as setting out, mobilization expenses, scaffolding, site supervision, work protection, temporary structures, site office, and utilities connected to the site during the construction of the works. Besides, head office overheads or general overhead are mostly related to the expense and charge associated with the operation of a contractor's head office, the cost associated with the carrying out of the general business that allowed in the contract sum. Next is loss of profit, which mostly related to contractor is denied earning profit that cannot be provided elsewhere in the contract because of the delay. Furthermore, loss of productivity, which mostly related to the contractor is denied deploying his resources for the disruption works and as such is denied the benefit of the productivity out of it. Next is increased cost of resource, which mostly an additional expenditure of resources because of increase in cost during the delay. Other than that is financing charge, which mostly mean loss and expense suffered by the contractor as a result of receiving a sum due to him later than he is entitled to do so under the terms of contract. Lastly is cost of preparing claims, which mostly time spent on preparing the claim for loss and or expense.